if you just came back from the previous video about percentages, and or whether you watched it or not, if you have a good understanding of what percentages really mean, then you'll have a very easy time understanding what parts per million, parts per billion is. So the easiest way, to introduce this is by percent. So what does 20% mean? You know that 20% is 0.2 or 2 out of 10. Now let's just say we want to represent this as over 100. Okay, so you just multiply the top and bottom by 10. So 2 times whatever you do at the top, you do the bottom. 2 times 10 is 20 over the top, 100. So this is 20 parts per 100. And the reason is you're saying there's 20 for every 100. Okay? So what if we said 20 if we said 20 parts per million. Well, essentially that just means you have 20 things. So let's just say if people are sick, 20 parts per million is 20 people are sick per every 1 million. And when you want to, convert percentages to that, if you can't see it right away, this is what you use. So we'll think about this logically. So we know that let's just say 35% is 35 over 100. So or 35 parts per 100. So there's 35. And if you want to think about this previously like colored squares, there's 35 colored squares out of the 100 in the box. So that leaves 65 uncolored. So 35 over 100. Now how do I get this to a million? Now you know that to get from 100 to a million, so 100 has 2 zeros. I want to get to a million. So how many more zeros do I need? I need 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm just gonna multiply the top and bottom by something that has 4 zeros. So what do you get? So now you can see the bottom. So you count out the zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now the top. How many zeros? 1, 2, 3, 4. This right here, this means 350,000 parts per million. And this parts per million just means, that. That's all it means. We just have a different way of saying it. So what we're going to be dealing with, if you deal with small numbers like 25 parts per million, that 25 is parts per million. You want to convert that to a percentage. So either you can, punch in your calculator, 25 times 1 million, and then multiply that by 100%, or you can just or you look at this and say, let's go backwards. Okay, how many zeros do we have to get rid of to go back to 100? So 1, 2, 3, 4. So you multiply the top and bottom by 1,000. You divide the top and bottom by 1,000. So if you divide the bottom by 1,000, you're left with 100. Divide the top by 1,000, you're left with what? So 1, 2, 0.025. If I did this correctly, 1, 2, 3. No, I believe that should be 0.025. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that would be, your percent. So 0.0025%. Because that's your parts per 100. 0.0025 parts per 100. Because now your denominator is 100. So basically, parts per, the per part, that's the important part. Because you're saying, like, if you want to say, how much of the population is sick. So 23 out of 100 people are sick. That's a percentage or parts per 100. Okay. Now let's just say we want to see, okay, how much does that mean for every 1 million people? So you convert that to parts per million, and then now you can see, like, hey, this much out of million people are sick. And essentially you didn't change anything, because 25 over a million is the same as 0.0025 over 100. Like, it'll always give you the same percent. So the percent will always, anytime you change a fraction, whether it's reducing it, making it bigger, like, if you had 1 over 2 and then you multiply top and bottom by 3, let's just say 3 over 6, you kind of can't, if you don't see that that's equal, anytime you punch in your calculator, you always get 0.5 or 50%. That won't change. So that's where parts per million comes from. If you had to deal with parts per billion, so that's another factor of 1,000. So you'd multiply this bottom by another 1,000 with 3 zeros, then the top by another 1,000, 3 zeros. So you would be left with, 25,000 per 1 billion. So 1,000, 25,000 parts per billion. And that's basically all there is to it.